We're here at the IAS in Paris with Mitchell Warren from AVAC, who's been a staunch advocate and activist and fighter for the prevention and vaccines and so forth. So let's talk a little bit about how we got to where we are from where we came.
Absolutely.
And I'll let you dig into that piece.
Absolutely. Well, you look 36 years into this, and what got us here is science, and I don't think we should ever forget that. I think it's easy to think about all the issues that are critically important, but science got us to a point in this epidemic that we can talk about in 2017 in a way that's frankly somewhat unimaginable if you go back in time. And that's true for treatment, it's true for prevention, it's true for even talking about a cure, which we didn't even talk about a decade ago, but now that's a big buzz. So I think we're recognizing that scientific pursuit is beginning to pay off, the benefits of that. And that doesn't just rely on science, of course. It's then that science translation, and that's about the politics, it's about the economics, it's about the community engagement. But it is a remarkable time to be thinking about it. I tend to think of it, though, when people love to think, oh, let's talk about the end of the epidemic. There's a big buzz. It's been there for a few years now. I tend to think of where we are sitting here in Paris in 2017, not as the beginning of the end, but the end of the beginning. And I think what we're beginning to do now is transition into the next chapter, because we have a lot more work to do. We are not at the end yet.
There's been so much that we've dealt with over the years in drama and tragedy, and many times we've gone, we used to call it the roller coaster. We'd find, oh, this is really, oh no, it's not working. Okay, then try about this one, oh no. Because we actually were talking about being cured back in '94.
Absolutely.
But that wasn't real. Now I think we're looking more realistically and honestly, and through science, the eyes of science, that this is now more progressing more in a rational, scientific way that seems to be making incremental steps towards an end.
I think that's true, and it is incremental. I also worry a bit that there is a sense of self-congratulations, of declaring success too soon, and if we declare success too soon, we will lose. And if you look even just before the conference began, UNAIDS issued their report, and it does have a lot of good news. But the epidemic today also has a lot of bad news, and I think we shouldn't only focus on the good. We shouldn't only focus on the bad. We have to take a more balanced perspective, and I think it's important that how this conference began, which is remembering two fighters in Prudence Mambela and Mark Wainberg. That's where we came from, and we should not, for 1 second, think that we are in the glory days. We still have our struggles. The fact that Prudence Mambela could die on the eve of the conference tells us that we are far from the end. So I think we have to recognize every one of the stories here has some really exciting science and some really good news and some really challenging news. So if I look at treatment scale up, yes, half the people of the world who are infected have access to treatment, half of them don't, and of the half that don't, many more of them are the ones that are going to be hardest to reach. If you look at the successes of vaccines, if you look at the success of PrEP, yes, there's huge promise, huge excitement, but we have so much more to do to realize PrEP access. We have so much more to do to translate phase 2 results from a vaccine into a phase 3 trial that hasn't yet begun. So there's a huge amount of good news, but it has got to be a balanced story coming out of Paris. As Tony Fauci always says, much accomplished, much to do, and there's a lot to celebrate, and there's a lot to be concerned about.
Everyone has a job still. We all have a job. But when I interviewed, as you were relating to, I interviewed a number of people from middle income and low income countries, and it's despair in their eyes. It's in one case there was a gentleman who's still in the same boat. Difficult to pay for the meds, middle income country. Some of the hardest stories come out of there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying we can't give you the drugs, but we can sell them to you. Yeah. We can sell you the services, we can sell you the doctor appointment. But they don't have that money.
Well, and I think one of the other pieces in all of this is that whether you look at the individual level or at the community and national and even global levels, all of this exciting science is coming at one of the most challenging moments politically and economically. In addition to the reports last week of getting half the people of the world who need treatment on treatment, the other big news was that resources for the AIDS response are declining, both for the AIDS response for treatment and prevention today as well as for prevention research. We have less money to do do more work than ever before. And yes, there are new efficiencies. Yes, there are new opportunities, but we have fewer resources. So again, that's where it's important to keep an honest, transparent view of where we are and where we aren't in this epidemic response.
Well, you've really nailed it. I think you've got it, and I hope that we can have that honesty in everyone's mind, because that's what we're going to need to move forward.
Absolutely. Well, and I think at the end of the day, we say this every year when you and I talk. There's never going to be a single answer to this epidemic, and it's not about one form of treatment. It's not about one form of prevention. It's not about one vaccine strategy. And I think this conference and where we are in the epidemic right now reminds me, at least, and I think all of us, of the fundamental importance of a truly comprehensive, integrated and sustained response that does not have a short-term endpoint. This is still a long-term fight, and that means we have to do comprehensive work. We have to integrate that work, not just within the HIV response, but we've got to integrate it into the health and development issues that are about universal health coverage, about health system strengthening, and we have to do it with a mindset that has to have a sustained response, and sustainable not just from a financial perspective, but sustained with community engagement, sustained scientific discovery. And if we fail to do that, we will not end this epidemic.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Thank you, Fred. Great to see you.